Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR, HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Welcome to The Practical Mystic with Maureen St Germain, talk radio to make every day a day of heaven on earth. Using the information we provide, you'll learn practical living tools to make a meaningful life joyful and fun. Maureen St Germain, mystic, mom, and author, teaches advanced spiritual techniques in ascension work. You'll come away empowered and transformed. Since 1994, she has traveled and taught meditation, sacred geometry, and manifestation. Her numerous published works include books, CDs, DVDs, and are bestsellers on Amazon and in bookstores. My name is Kim Barron, and I am here with the practical mystic, Maureen St Germain. I work with Maureen, and I'm a student of all things spiritual. Together, we intend to inspire you to be your best self. Today, we're here to honor your heart, and this is a very special show. Today, we are learning how to understand sacred geometry and how to manifest using sacred geometry. So, Maureen, are you there?
I am. I'm so happy to join you, and welcome to all our listeners.
Thank you. Yes, welcome all of our listeners. So, boy, we have a lot of information to cover here because you've actually written a book about this, and it's called Be a Genie, Create Love, Success, and Happiness. And so tell us a little bit about how this book came about, and then you can go right into kind of talking a bit about the Genie system.
Okay, so I, as a young woman, felt very strongly about manifestation, and I began exploring the ways to manifest. And I will never forget the very first time I manifested, and I was, I was about 21 years old, and I needed a little extra money, and I had been doing what I would call pickup jobs with this particular company in addition to our regular income. And I thought that that's how I would make that extra money. And so I kind of visualized that I'd have the money, I'd be able to do what I needed to do. And then I also was seeing that I'd probably get this pickup job. And what surprised me is that the money came in just as I needed it, on time and plenty of time, but it didn't come from the pickup job. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, you don't have to know how it's going to happen. All you have to do is know what. And that was back in, the 70s, before anybody was writing anything about manifestation. Wow. That was like a big aha. Oh my gosh, you don't have to worry about the how part. Yeah.
Right. So it's focus on what on the what, not the how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just think about yourself as you listen and think about what is it that I really want. Let's say I want a car, and I want a replacement car. It doesn't have to be new, but I want a newer car for me than what I currently drive. And you might think, well, my friend is selling a car. This dealership down the road has some great cars. You might be thinking of all those, quote, solutions. And my advice is don't even worry about that. Don't even go there with your thought. Instead, see yourself driving the car that meets your every need. And that might include things you haven't thought of yet. Like, the kids finally convinced you to get a dog, and thank God you got a van, let's say.
Right. It's kind of, the universe takes care of all that. You don't even have to go there.
And you can use manifestation for spiritual work as well. It doesn't just have to be physical things. And one of my real heart's desires was that I would teach people how to manifest. And in the process of teaching them how to manifest, they would learn certain spiritual skills that would give them such a level of spiritual mastery that it would be like I was sneaking it in underneath. Kind of like the Karate Kid, how the master made the young boy do certain chores through the whole movie, and he kept saying, well, when are you going to teach me? When are you going to teach me? We'll first do this, we'll first do that. And when they finally took him through the process, he was already ready because he'd been doing all these things that were warm-ups for the real deal.
Right,
and I can give you an example. One of the things that you have to do to manifest well is to be in integrity. And what integrity means to me, and should mean to most people, is that your thoughts, your actions, and your words match. So you don't say, I want to lose weight while you're unwrapping a bonbon. That just doesn't work because you're out of integrity with the fact that you're eating something that's very high in calories and trying to lose weight at the same time. It's like my hands and my mouth are out of integrity with my words or my thoughts. So we have to line up. It also means that if you say, I'm going to do this with so-and-so, and then something happens and you can't, you don't make excuses. You just say, you know what, something came up. I have a friend that's here from out of town that I haven't seen in a long time, and I had to make a decision on whether I had to cancel with you and go see them or not. And I decided I had to cancel, and I'm so sorry. You notice I'm not saying it's somebody's fault. I'm not blaming, well, I had to go see my friend. Do you see the difference?
Right,
I chose to cancel. And that's very important. So you have to be willing to be in integrity with yourself. And this was another aha that I got early on. I was on a mission to pay my bills and get out of debt. I had gone through a very difficult divorce. I ended up with the family debt on my shoulders, and I was determined to dig myself out of that heavy, heavy load and become not only financially solvent but successful. So one day I have a utility bill, and it's only for $50, but when I go to pay it, I am so terrified. I think to myself, what is going on? And so I did a little meditation right there on the spot, and I closed my eyes and pretended that the fear could tell me the answer to the question. And surprise, surprise, the fear did give me the answer. And the fear showed me, when I asked, what is your message? The fear showed me two pictures. The first picture was a really cute jacket that I had bought on sale for $50. It was the right size, the right color for my wardrobe. Everything was perfect about it, and it was half price. A great thing to buy. And then it showed me the utility bills side by side. And it showed me that my behavior of buying something on sale, even if it was on sale, when I wasn't sure that I had the money to cover the utility bill, was putting me in jeopardy. So the message here is one of the ways you can stay in integrity is to pay attention to your fears and your emotions, because fear is a messenger. And the message is always about your integrity. And it's not like your mom saying, well, you haven't done your homework yet. It's more like your fear is showing you that your actions and your thoughts don't line up. And you have a choice here. You can change your belief or you can change your behavior. Now, if I believe that I'm going to gain weight if I eat too much sugar, which most of us do believe, then eating too much sugar and trying to lose weight are out of sync with each other. If I think, this is a radical idea, if I think sex before marriage is a sin and I proceed to do it, I will feel guilty. If I change my belief and decide, well, we're all mature adults here, we're all over 50, nobody's going to make any babies, blah, 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 I might decide that I no longer believe in that so-called version of sin, and I don't believe that it is a sin anymore. At that point, when I have that opportunity, I don't feel guilty. And it's an interesting concept, but it's all about the message and the decision to change your belief or change your behavior.
Right. And fear does play a large part, because even if it is on the same vibration, it can bring in some things that you don't want.
Very true. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I say in the book is that there is a thing called the law of resonance. And the law of resonance means that you attract more of whatever it is you're thinking about. So if you are thinking a lot about what you're afraid of, you will most certainly get more of that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest daunting thing about all of this manifestation, that people will dwell on what they don't want as opposed to what they do want, and then are surprised when they keep getting things that they don't want into their lives.
Yes, well, and the easy way out of that is to make a list of what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen, and this is a very interesting exercise because something very interesting will happen as a result of it. So you start to write a list of everything you don't want. And I actually did this once with a client, and we wrote down everything she didn't want. She was afraid she was going to grow old penniless. She was afraid she was going to run out of ideas. She was an artistic director. She was afraid that she wouldn't have enough money to raise her family. She was afraid that she might not get a better job, and on it went. And we came up with 30 things that she was afraid of. And because she was so stuck, we couldn't even get into the manifestation. We had to work on what she was afraid of. And the most amazing thing happened is the next day she called me on the phone and said, I thought of 3 more things. So here's what happens. When you give your fears a voice, you are giving that voice a chance to get outside of you, and then the dam breaks and whatever else was behind that comes out. Now, the benefit to that is once the fears have been acknowledged and heard, because they're a messenger, it's like the FedEx guy. He keeps coming back till that package gets delivered. So you may as well receive the fear message, write it down, and give it a voice. And then once you've written them all down, then you'd go back and each one of them you write an antidote to. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that she did is she actually had statements like, I am a woman of substance, and what I do in the world matters. I am full of creative ideas, and I'm always got another good idea right around the corner. And so what happened is those statements then changed her consciousness, changed her beliefs about herself, and she was able to move forward, and she ended up getting a fabulous new job, and has since changed jobs again to another, even better job, and she no longer lives her life in this state of constant fear.
Oh, that's great. And that it's basically conscious creation. You're consciously creating the life you want to live and your heart's desire.
Yes, and we really haven't gotten into the sacred geometry yet, but I'd really like to, for a few minutes, talk about why sacred geometry is so powerful as a manifestation tool. And this is something you won't hear anywhere else. A lot of you have heard about what's called sacred geometry. And I think the reason that this kind of understanding is called sacred geometry has to do with the fact that there is order and symmetry in certain designs and in certain concepts. And when a pattern keeps repeating and showing up, and the same relationships keep showing up, it becomes, quote, sacred. But all geometry is sacred. So we could just call it geometry. So, for example, one of the things that always shows up that everybody can relate to is the concept of pi, the relationship between a circle and its radius. So radius is the arm from the center that goes to the edge of the circle. Circumference is the circle edge. And the radius, 2 pi r, so 2 times this magic number pi, which is 3.14 ... no matter whether you have a little circle or a big circle, that relationship between the radius and the circumference is always the same. And yet we know pi is an irrational number. So the amazing thing is once we get our arms around the fact that we have this number that goes on forever, it never resolves into an exact representation of a numeric number. At the same time, it always shows up. It always shows up.
Wow.
So what that means is if we could find something within that pattern within nature that always shows up, then we could use it as a tool or a stepping stone to manifest. And so one of the things that happened to me, because I've always been interested in mathematics and geometry, I could have slept through my geometry class in high school, and I still would have aced everything. My interest and my love of this is very, very long-seated. So one of the things that I discovered is another relationship that exists that is called phi, P-H-I, also another irrational number that has no resolution, but it is the relationship between the little finger of your hand and the wrist, and the little finger to the base of that palm is in phi to the base of the wrist. And if you look at the face and you put your hand on your chin and your forehead, if you go up to your nose, that's in phi to the space up to your forehead. And that relationship exists throughout the universe. Plants grow in phi. Plants throw their stems in a relationship of phi. And even something as small as the DNA spiral, which is measured in angstroms, which are 1/10 billionth of a meter, so there's no way you or I can see that, even that relationship is in phi, between the height of the spirals and the width of the spirals. And that is remarkable, because where that is, I believe that is the explanation of source code of the universe.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I was even thinking about, because the Earth is round, from the core of the Earth to the outer crust, you probably have pi as well.
Absolutely, you do. It's absolutely true.
That's truly
and
amazing.
There's so much more to know about phi, but the important thing here is to understand that one of the things I figured out is that phi can be produced with any two random numbers. And initially, people are exposed to phi through a sequence called the Fibonacci sequence. Mm-hmm. And that's where you take 1 and 1 equals 2, and then 1 and 2 is 3, 2 and 3 are 5, 3 and 2 are 5 and 3 are 8, and so on. So this sequence of 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on, became known as the Fibonacci sequence for a lot of reasons. That sequence became famous in this world of sacred geometry. And then many teachers have shown how the relationship with adjacent pairs, so 34 divided by 21 or 55 divided by 34, produces 1.618, this mathematical equation that represents phi. But what people didn't know, and I named the Phoenix sequence, is the fact that you could start with any two numbers you want. So in every class when I teach it, I actually ask the audience to give me two numbers random. And it won't matter whether you start with 1,556 and 2, or whether you start with 6 and 9. After 9 iterations or 9 additions, the last two numbers, 9th and 10th iteration, divided into each other, produce phi. And why this is so important is because it begins to show you a concept that the universe uses to create and to evolve. And once you kind of wrap your brain around that, and you begin to conceptualize, oh, well, if I can use any two random numbers, then I could also use any two random numbers to stand for where I'm at in the reality. So, for example, if and this actually happened to one of my students. She worked in a legal office as a legal assistant doing secretarial work, very low-level work, in an office in Atlanta. And her heart's desire was to own a horse rescue farm. A year after taking the class, she writes me an email and said, "Hey, Maureen, that Genie system really works." She focused on her job, which I would say was a million miles from that horse rescue farm. Because how do you go from being an urban environment to a country environment? I mean, even that alone is mind-boggling when you start to think about it. But she held the vision of herself here with no resistance, and herself of in that situation with the rescue farm, the horse rescue farm, as the other version. And she didn't oppose either one of them. She didn't decide that one wasn't as good as the other. So when she was in her office job, she focused on what she loved about that. And when she was in her daydreams and thinking about the horse rescue farm, she focused on that. And so in her email, she proceeds to tell me that she got hitched. which is a really cute term for saying you got married. But it turns out that the man she married runs a company where they create organic feed for horses. And he had a farm, and she's helping him with his website. And how long do you think it's going to be before they have rescue horses on that farm?
Yeah, no time at all, that's for sure.
Exactly.
That's so great.
So the reason that sacred geometry is so valuable is because numbers are irrefutable. If you add 1 and 1, you know you're going to get 2. If you're getting change in the grocery store, you know what your change is supposed to be. There's no arguing about the number. You give them a $5 bill, your bill is $3.98, they're going to give you $1.02 back. You might put the 2 cents in the bin, but the bottom line is you're entitled to that $1.02 back. So in your mind that it's irrefutable if I hold both of my concepts equally with love and joy and no resistance, the universe is going to give me both of them. And it's going to let me have what I really want, which is the one I really love.
God, I can't wait to get back. We're going to have to just take a short break here, but when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about sacred geometry and how it appeals to both right-brained dominant people and left-brained dominant people, because you've managed to take a daunting concept and explain it in a way that everyone can understand. So we will be right back.
Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
Shh! Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
So you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all, and why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com. Books and Media. And help change your life now.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Attention, Practical Mystic listeners. Here's a deal you won't want to refuse. If you've ever wanted a chance to get a free Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain, then here's all you have to do to increase your chance for a totally free reading. Email Maureen. Tell her your problem, and if your story is used on the Practical Mystic Show, then you'll win a 30-minute Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain. How easy is that? And the email address is easy to remember, too. radio@MaureenStGermain.com. Email her now and get a chance at that free reading. radio@MaureenStGermain.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
And welcome back. I am Kim Barron, and I am here with Maureen St Germain, the Practical Mystic. And you were talking about sacred geometry when we left, and I'd like you to continue a little bit about that.
So as we were describing that you would hold 2 visions, the reason that this is so valuable is because I now can prove that phi is source code for creation. We show everything in creation has this relationship that exists in anything that shifts and evolves and grows. And if we know that phi is source code, and we know that we're using phi by holding two particular visions together, as they vibrate together, they will produce source code, which then automatically produces your outcome. Now, one of the really cool things that comes out of this is that when you don't get your outcome that you thought you were going to get, let's say you thought you were going to marry Harry, and Harry, meets someone on a business trip and falls in love and calls you and says, I can't go through with this, I'm so sorry. What happens is if you seed your manifestation with grief, you will cause yourself to add another number to that sequence, which throws everything off. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't feel your feelings, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't have grief. But what it does mean is, I tell people, give yourself 3 sincere, solid expressions of your pain, your grief, because what you resist persists. So you can't, quote, resist it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you count each time you tell your sad story. And once you've hit 3, you are done. And that way you're not going to totally mess up your manifestation. And what happens is the next person is right around the corner, and the situation will come in even that much faster. And we've all heard of stories where people were engaged to one person, everything fell apart, you don't see them for 6 months, you run into them and they say, oh, I got married. And you say, oh, you guys patched it up. Oh, no, I met someone else, and it's way better. And you think to yourself, how did they do that? How did that happen? And the answer is they didn't stay in their grief, and they held the outcome of all the beautiful, good times. And I actually had this happen to me. And again, this was one of those big discoveries that was like a huge aha. One day, and it was over 20 years ago, I was working for a national organization as a CEO and planner for the national meetings that my organization held. And so I endeavored to participate in a contest where the winning entry would get a free trip to Bermuda at the Southampton Princess. And so I put a picture on my bulletin board of a woman sitting, looking at the ocean, her back to me, and I pretended that she was at the hotel, that it had the same name of the conference room contest. And so the idea was the conference room was named the name I submitted, and I had won the contest. So they announced the winner, and it was a pretty ordinary name like the Resonance Room or the Mystic Room. Something in my world was pretty ordinary, and I'm thinking, well, that's pretty goofy. And then I thought about it and decided, well, maybe they needed to get that meeting planner into that hotel because she has a big group, and they knew that they were close to making a decision, and why not kind of weigh that decision in her direction. So I dismissed it with no malice, no judgment, no anger, and just thought, well, whatever, and forgot about it. A year later, I received a phone call from a man who runs tours to various countries, and he wanted me to go as his guest with a bunch of other people as his guest, a familiarization trip. I didn't have to pay anything. I had to give up 3 days of my time and go with them to Acapulco. And it sounded like a great idea, so I said yes. My schedule was available. And on our way into Acapulco, I said to the man sitting next to me, well, where are we staying anyway? And he said, we're staying at the Acapulco Princess. And I said to him, oh, wow, that hotel chain, they're really like 9-star out of a 5-star system. We're going to have a great time. And I forgot about it. Then when we got to the hotel and I got to my room, on the bed was a brochure of their conference center. And as I'm looking at the conference center, I realized they're using the same blueprint. And the blueprint was the same as what they used in Bermuda. And so as I'm looking at this, I'm going, wow, I wonder what they named the main room. It was the same name I had submitted 2 years earlier.
Oh, my God.
There I was as a guest of the hotel and a free trip.
That is so great.
Another big aha.
Exactly. And in a way that you did not expect.
Exactly, because and here's the key here. No grief, no judgment, no anger, no malice, nothing. So the way to manifest when you don't get the version you thought you were going to get is to make sure you notice, am I judging that person for not keeping their contract with me? Am I angry at them because they let me down? Am I hurt and wounded and mad at the world? You see what I mean? You have to look at all that and say, okay, I have 3 big chances to tell my story to, a person. And I will tell you, save it for the person you really know you're going to get the most mileage out of it. And one time when I was angry about something, I had already told 2 people, and I get a phone call from somebody I don't know that well, and she said, how you doing? And I'm thinking, I'm not wasting that tell on her. I'll wait till my sister calls.
Oh, my God, I love it. I just love it. So you've got a lot in this book. Now, your book, Be a Genie, again, it's called Be a Genie, Create Love, Success, and Happiness, is available on Amazon and on your website, www.maureenstgermain.com. And, gosh, there's just so much. You have a 5 steps to manifestation that I want to talk about, and just in manifesting your heart's desire.
Okay, so this is really basic, but it's important that you understand that when you start out and you try and think of your 5 steps, or you're going to go through the 5 steps, you really want to know what is it that you really want. Initially, when I started this work in a very proactive way, I was working on getting enough money to pay for my son's college tuition. And initially, all I wanted was the $5,000 I needed for the first semester. And after I manifested that, I said to myself, oh, my God, that was so hard. I do not want to do it that way again. And so I thought about it, and I realized what I really wanted was the equivalent of the full amount of money I needed to send him through that school. So I wanted to manifest $40,000 or $35,000 more. And when I thought about that, I was terrified. I couldn't get my arms around that money. I'd been a CEO. I was running budgets of over $1 million, but I never had $35,000 of my own money in my own checking or savings account. And so I couldn't visualize the money. So then I focused again and said, well, what is it that I really want? And what I really wanted was to see him at graduation. That. So then I had to take a picture of him in his high school graduation and use that for my manifestation. And I'll tell you what I did in just a minute.
Oh, that's great. So when we come back, we're going to have to take a quick break here, and then we're going to talk more about the 5 steps. And I think what you're talking about right now is the movie of the mind, and so and how you have to have clear intention. Otherwise, you never know what's going to happen, like we had discussed earlier. And I think another concept that we need to talk about, too, is be careful what you ask for. So we're going to take a break. And, again, if you want to learn a little bit more about Be a Genie, please go to www.maureenstgermain.com. And we will be right back.
So, you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all, and why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com. Books and Media. And help change your life now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
The loving, healing energy of the Akashic Records is a profound tool for self-exploration and empowerment, and these records include every thought, word, and deed of your life throughout time. With so much information, you will probably need a guide to help you access and interpret it. That's where Maureen St Germain's trained and certified Akashic Record guides can help. Discover what you really need to know with an Akashic Record guide reading. For more information, visit AkashicRecordsGuides.org. or visit MaureenStGermain.com and click Akashic Readings. Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
And welcome back. This is Kim Barron with Maureen St Germain, the Practical Mystic. And we were talking about manifestation and her book, Be a Genie. So, Maureen, are you there?
Yes. So when you are in that visualization, if you can't hold that thought, then you have to find something that does work for you. So, you know, part of the process before you actually begin the steps is a clear understanding of what it is you really want. And sometimes what you think you want, in my case, $5,000, isn't what you really want. What you really want is the biggest version of the sequence of events rather than the actual amount. So in my case, it wasn't even about the money as much as it was I wanted to be able to graduate. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to go into the 5 steps because you've been asking me about that. And the 5 steps are understand and integrate the science, which we've already talked about in the first segment. And what that does is, one of the things that this knowledge does for you is remove barriers to entry. So, you know, how many times do you hear a woman say, you know, there aren't enough good men around, for example? And I look at this and I say, well, you only need one. And the part about it is, if you hold an idea that you can't have what you want, or you might not get what you want because there aren't that many good ones, you're telling the universe that there's not enough to choose from. Whereas if you use the math, you know for sure the universe is going to produce it. No matter whether there's one or not, doesn't matter. What matters is the universe using the Phoenix sequence produces your outcome for you. Mm-hmm. And so that's the most important thing, to understand that and to know that you don't have to second-guess yourself. You don't have to question that you're going to get it. Instead, you just have to focus on what it is that your outcome looks like and feels like. Now, the next thing you do is you make sure you're strong, your desire is strong, and your belief real. And the way that plays out is, again, you don't let circumstantial evidence throw you off. Next, you fill your heart's desire with emotion, and that leads us to allowing your feelings to show you what happens next. And that's all part of the movie of the mind, where you truly get into a visual where you allow yourself to have the experience of what does it feel like if I'm at my son's graduation. And the feeling is indescribable. And, you know, that only happens for that one event. You know, it's not like you're going to feel that a bunch of times in your life. So, you know, if your son did graduate from college and that's that was your goal, to have the money to cover that, it feels amazing. It feels absolutely amazing. And that's what will happen. Your feelings will show you what happens next. And what's an incredible part of this is as this occurs, you're literally making the movie you can play over and over in your head. And the movie of the mind is your keystone of how this manifestation is going to take place. You're focusing on the destination. The universe is focusing on the how. That letting your feelings show you what happens next is very interesting, because one of the things that can happen is as I did, and I visualized my son in his cap and gown, and me saying to him two things. There were some scary moments that validates all the craziness that I felt, and my fears and my self-doubt. That validates that, so there's no resistance. And then the second thing I said was, but it wasn't that hard. And the amazing thing is, I didn't believe that statement when I first started out. But it didn't matter, because I did believe the first statement, and it created a space to believe the second statement. There were some crazy moments, but it wasn't that hard. And what is so incredible is when you do this movie of the mind, and that's your fifth step, and you play it over and over and over in your thought, what happens when you allow your emotions and your feelings to show you what happens next, you will actually hear something happen in your thought that is not what you put in the script. So maybe you were expecting to hear, thanks, Mom, I couldn't have done it without you, but instead you say, you know, you're the most amazing manifester, and it's something that you weren't expecting. So you hear something in the script, in that movie, that you didn't write. So it's like you're the screenwriter, you're watching the movie, and the actor adds his own piece. And that's when you know the universe is already working on it, because you're reading the field in such a way that you actually are hearing what will happen. It's remarkable.
It is. And that explains the correlation between the sacred geometry and the manifestation also. And as I was saying earlier, how it appeals to the left brain people as you know, and the right brain people, because sometimes the left brain people really need an explanation of why it's happening, and they can see it so clearly in nature.
Yes, and this is my primary reason for writing the book, because I knew that even though I have a very wonderful gift of intuition and connection with God, and I've really worked it, I've practiced my practice, at the same time I have a very strong logical side, and I knew that I wanted to be able to help people bridge that gap with tangible, real stories and explanations and references that would make this work irrefutable.
Oh, that is just great. Gosh. So it's all about manifesting your heart's desire, being clear on your intentions, and then put it into practice.
And putting it into practice, yeah. And once you understand the sacred geometry, it's just like this boost, this basis of a cheerleader squad that is there. As a matter of fact, one of the things I do recommend that you do have people who support you, because you can get into a situation where you're having some success, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from under you. And I call that the divinity test. And it's a little bit complicated to explain right this second, but when you have everything going well and you've had a few successes with your manifestations, it's like, okay, we think she's ready. Let's see what happens when all the support has been taken away. And that's when you really need a buddy. That's when you really need to believe in yourself. There's a wonderful book by Barbara Stanny, and it's called Secrets of $1 Million Women, something like that, Barbara Stanny. And she's got a number of stories in there where women came literally to the precipice of something, and they thought everything was going to fall apart, and suddenly everything shifts. And one of the things that happens when you get to that place of, oh my God, we're not going to make it, we're going to fail, I'm going to go bankrupt, whatever it is, to let go and to be willing to say, okay, I thought I did everything I was supposed to. If there's a solution, I need to know by morning. And then you go to sleep with a clean heart and a clean slate, and you go, okay, it's not what I wanted, but hey, I still have my health. Or this is not the way I thought it was going to work out, but I still have this. You notice we're balancing the negative with something positive.
Sure.
And you go to sleep and you wait for what happens in the morning. And there are tons of stories like this. There's a number of them in my book, and there's a number of them in books anywhere you want to go, but the book I've just mentioned is also a wonderful resource for that. So the divinity test is God asking you, do you believe in you as much as I do?
Oh.
It's when we take the training wheels off. We've gotten pretty good. Can we ride without those training wheels?
Wow.
So maybe when we come back, we can talk a little bit about some of the stories of people who have used this work and how they've made a difference in their lives.
Oh, I think that's great. And I was thinking about the woman who was going to marry Harry, that she was probably thinking, thank goodness the universe stepped in and I didn't marry Harry, or whatever his name was, you know. Oh, my gosh. Well, we will be right back. And
thanks for being with us.
Yes, thank you.
Attention, Practical Mystic listeners. Here's a deal you won't want to refuse. If you've ever wanted a chance to get a free Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain, then here's all you have to do to increase your chance for a totally free reading. Email Maureen. Tell her your problem, and if your story is used on the Practical Mystic Show, then you'll win a 30-minute Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain. How easy is that? And the email address is easy to remember, too. radio@MaureenStGermain.com. Email her now and get a chance at that free reading. radio@MaureenStGermain.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
So, you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all. And why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com. Books and Media. And help change your life now. Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
And so we have a special this every month. If you have a question about anything that we've discussed, please send your questions to radio@MaureenStGermain.com. And if we read the question on the air for Maureen to answer, you will receive a 30-minute Akashic Records reading from Maureen. That is such a great thing, and it's about a $125 value. So please submit your questions, and like I said, if it gets picked, Maureen gets to do that reading for you. So, Maureen, you were talking about the manifesting your heart's desire and how you bring that all about.
Yes, so one of the things that happened is I've had people use manifestation to help them with spiritual goals, to help them to achieve certain things, to acquire certain things. And so you don't have to use manifestation just to get stuff. It's not just about being materialistic. And one of the things that happens as a result of manifesting is you become a better person, because one of the tools of manifestation is to ask for what you need for yourself and for others. So you're already creating goodwill energetically, not just for yourself, but for those who are also in need. When I encountered someone who wanted to have a new situation, I suggested to that person that she, in her prayer work, also ask for everybody else who wasn't happy in that environment to find their way and resolve the issues. And what's interesting is sometimes, and this did happen in her case, the people who were causing the problems for her found better jobs and left. And she didn't have to leave, but she was praying for good instead of praying for their ill will.
So it worked out for everybody.
Yeah, it does work out for everybody.
The good of all.
So, and another way to manifest in a very specific way is to write the event that you want to go to on your calendar. And again, this is another big a tool that I figured out quite by accident, because I wanted to attend a convention, and I knew when it was going to be, and I'd been coming every year for 10 years, so it was my practice to put it on my calendar. And then I left that job and was out of work for a little while, and then ended up with a new job that was in a similar industry but not exactly the same. So after the third interview, or in the process of the third interview, I said to them, I'd really like to go to this conference. And they said, well, it's a related industry. It's not exactly the field you're in now. And I agreed with them, and then I said, but there's a lot of things here that'll be useful. So then they asked me what city it was, and they actually had an airline ticket that somebody else had that they weren't going to use. You can tell how long ago that was. And so they transferred the ticket to me, and then they said, but what about where will you stay? And I said, well, I have lots of friends in that city. I'm sure I can find somebody to stay with. And then they said, but what about the conference fee? That looks like it's going to be over $1,000. And I said, well, they do have scholarships, and I'll just apply. I'll ask for a scholarship. And so with that in mind, I called the national organization and explained my story. And the woman who was listening to my story in the scholarship department said to me, you want a scholarship for what year? And for this year? And I said, yes. And I said it with enthusiasm and sweetness, even though she was kind of making fun of me with her tone, you want it for this year? And you could have said, well, yeah, I guess. You kind of apologized with your answer. But in my case, I didn't apologize with my answer. I said, yes, like Pollyanna, yes. And she hesitated for just a second and said, I think I can find you a scholarship. You've been coming for 10 years, and I don't see any reason for you to miss this year.
That is fantastic.
So,
and that can happen all the time.
For a whole year, I wrote, every time I changed calendars or did anything, I made sure that event was there on the calendar. That's all I did. And I had absolutely no attachment. It wasn't like I had a huge desire. I was just being, well, I'd really like to go. It'd be nice if I could go. And there it is, in my lap. So again, if you want to do something, and this is part of what I call the manifestation matrix, if you really want to do something, an event, to attend an event, or to go on a trip, or, do something that's part of a group process, one of the things you can do is write it on your calendar. That's number one. Take your request to the altar. And then have to read the book for the rest of them.
Absolutely. I encourage everyone to go to www.maureenstgermain.com and pick up a copy of Theogeny. You will not be sorry. It's also available on Amazon, and you can. There's an ebook as well. You can download it to your Kindle. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to the Practical Mystic, Maureen St Germain. I am Kim Barron, and please join us the second Monday of every month at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and tell your friends. Next month, we're going to be talking about ritual and prayers. So for more information and to receive our free monthly download, again, go to www.maureenstgermain.com, and she has a whole collection of books, meditation CDs, arrow mandalas, essential oil blends, and learn about her classes. We'll see you next month. Thank you.
The loving, healing energy of the Akashic Records is a profound tool for self-exploration and empowerment, and these records include every thought, word, and deed of your life throughout time. With so much information, you will probably need a guide to help you access and interpret it. That's where Maureen St Germain's trained and certified Akashic Record guides can help. Discover what you really need to know with an Akashic Record guide reading. For more information, visit AkashicRecordsGuides.org. or visit MaureenStGermain.com and click Akashic Readings.
Okay, so you have a couple of days off, and you're planning to get away from stress. You may be planning to go across the world, or even taking a staycation around town. Well, Hotels.com can get you a room in over 158,000 hotels, 60 countries, for 50% off. That's reducing stress already. Plus, collect 10 nights, and you'll get 1 night free. And there's no cancellation charges, no change fees. For the best deals, even last-minute deals, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Hotels.com.
Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Arrow Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Arrow Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Arrow Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.